communicating with someone with Alzheimer's can be a real challenge. Partly because we have to, as a a caregiver, if you will, that's dealing with maybe our spouse or our grandparent or whatever, that we may not want to acknowledge the fact that they're having a problem, that things are changing. Or we might at the same time have some degree of anger. We hate to admit it, but we're really mad at our husband or our spouse that they're getting this way. They used to be the life of the party. They used to be so much fun. Now this isn't the person that I know. So you have to kind of work through your own feelings, number one, before you're really prepared to deal with your loved one who has Alzheimer's. But when you do, then it's very important, to recognize that Alzheimer's is a progressive disease. Initially, there may not be any significant problem if they're a little bit forgetful, but if they move along into what's usually referred to as stage 2 of Alzheimer's, they're confused. They are not as oriented to place and time, meaning they literally may not know the difference between day and night. They may not recognize a familiar place. They may not even recognize your home when they come to visit. Where am I? That kind of thing. The most important thing in terms of dealing with someone with Alzheimer's is to not try and correct them. One of the things that we all say when we deal with Alzheimer's folks is you will never, ever win an argument with somebody with Alzheimer's. If you try and rationally address an issue, they're not able to function rationally anymore, so you're not going to get a resolution to it. So number one, if they look at you and you know that you're their son, Johnny, and they say, well, you're Aunt Sally. Instead of saying, no, Mom, you've got to stop doing that. You know that I'm your son. Rather say, okay, tell me about Aunt Sally. Just go with it. And in a short time, she may well go on to another subject. Don't try and correct her. Do be careful and make sure that if she's doing something that's dangerous, that you redirect her so that she's not doing that dangerous thing. But do it, again, in a kind and loving way. The other most important thing in terms of dealing in a communication mode with anyone with Alzheimer's is to keep things short and to the point. I always tell folks when I'm doing training for caregivers, my favorite expression is the KISS principle: keep it simple and keep it calm. And so if you can have a calm voice and not get upset yourself, that person will be calm. And then make sure that when you speak, you use short, concise sentences. Don't say, well, Mom, if you eat lunch now, we'll be able to go out in the car, and then we'll go out into the park, and then after that we'll have a really nice supper. That is going to go right past her head. That's too complicated. Say, Mom, let's eat lunch. Eat your sandwich. If you're out in the garden, don't say, oh, look at the beautiful flowers and all of the bushes and all of that. You say, rose, yellow rose, and see if they will acknowledge that. Look for a reaction in their body and their body language. Maybe their voice will say, oh, yes, flower, good. And again, that's in that second stage. So that you keep things very short, concise, simple, and most importantly, do it in a calm, loving way.